Welcome. I am really excited to start this section that is fully devoted to deploy a 3-node Galera cluster in a Linux environment. If you will watch all the lessons that I will present in this section and follow along with me and Bob, I promise you by the end of this section, you will have a solid understanding of what Galera cluster is and how it is deployed across different nodes. Why? Because I will start from scratch and walk you through each step how to deploy a 3-node Galera cluster on a Linux environment. I will start with giving you an overview of what really the Galera cluster is and what are its different variants, and before installing it, what network ports it requires us to open in the firewall. I will show you the Linux operating systems that are officially supported by the Galera cluster and which operating system is actually heavily used in the production grade clusters. We will choose the Linux to deploy our Galera cluster because Galera cluster does not run on Windows. For the preparation of the Linux machines, we will choose AWS as our cloud provider, and we will create the necessary SSH keys and the security group that are needed for our VMs. Please note, in AWS, we call this VM as EC2s. EC2s like Elastic Cloud Compute. We will configure the VMs by changing their host names, disabling the SC Linux, and making sure that they can ping with each other. We will deploy a 3-node Galera cluster, so we will need at least 3 EC2 VMs. We will download the components that make up the Galera cluster. I will show you how we can actually separately download them and install them, so we will have a full grip on what to really make up the Galera cluster. We will install them separately. I will show you how you can separate the MySQL Server components from the Galera cluster. So you will have a clear picture what is comprised of MySQL cluster side and what is the Galera cluster side. So I will show you how we can first start the MySQL Server, how we will secure it like normally we do. Then we will configure specifically our configuration files for the setup of Galera cluster. We will bootstrap this cluster on the first node, and we will verify that we have a single node Galera cluster. After testing it, we will finally set this up as a 3-node Galera cluster. So as you can see, all these bullets points, these are actually hands-on exercises. And as I mentioned earlier, I will start from scratch. So even if you have never deployed any MySQL cluster before, just rest assured you will after watching these lessons and this section. Well, I think that's enough talking. Let's roll our sleeves and get to the actual work. And for that, let's get to the lesson 1.